can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I feel like 100 grand.
You are listening to Inspired Insider with your host, Dr. Jeremy Wise.
Dr. Jeremy Wise here, founder of InspiredInsider.com, where I talk with inspirational entrepreneurs like the founders of P90X, Atari, many more, and how they overcome big challenges in life and business. This is part of the Prosper Show e-commerce mastery series, where top sellers and experts teach you what really works to boost your e-commerce business. They have an amazing conference with some of the top Amazon sellers and industry leaders. Paul will be there, Sarah Labs will be there, many other people will be there. And our sponsor today is Rise25.com, where a small group of 6, 7, 8-figure entrepreneurs come together live and in person every few months to solve their biggest business challenges and leave with lifelong friendships. Check out Rise25.com. I'm very excited. Today we have Paul Johnson. He's co-founder of Seller Labs with Brandon Checketts. You can check out his interview on Inspired Insider also. They make valuable tools, I've used them, for e-commerce sellers, including Feedback Genius, Snagshout, Scope, and Quantify. In the past 4 years, they've grown to more than 40 staff, and they develop applications for modern e-commerce businesses. And last year, Seller Labs helped their customers transact over $7 billion on Amazon. Paul, thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited.
You know, this is exciting because there's so much stuff here. And I want you to talk about scope. You know, on the whiteboard, when we were talking, I always kind of peek over people's shoulders and see what's working in the Seller Labs behind the scenes. And one of the things is scope. And I know I also want to talk about Scrum with you because I know you're Scrum certified and I want to hear about your process. So
you've done a lot of Googling.
Yeah. So what's behind you and it's in regards to scope on that whiteboard?
Sure. Yeah, so this is the whiteboard. There's nothing too awesome for the Amazon seller on the whiteboard. The whiteboard's more of just like our marketing launch sequence.
Yeah.
So we're in the process of rolling out scope to a small subset of our customers right now, and that's just how we're going to do our marketing and everything. There's a webinar going on today.
How do you roll it out? I want to hear about, because I do think it's applicable to Amazon sellers, and I think that maybe you argue with me, but Amazon sellers should be doing like a launch for their products or promote it more than just Amazon.
Yeah. So
how do you roll out Scope?
So Scope is an interesting story. Scope has kind of been something I've been working on for a while. We've actually had 2 kind of products called Scope. And we started working on Scope actually a couple of years ago, and it's really we've kind of released it, and we made a bunch of improvements, and we never really released it to the whole audience, and we're still not actually released it to our whole audience just yet.
What was the beginning of Scope? What was the first version of Scope, and then what's Scope now?
Yeah, so the first version of Scope was basically a tool where you could put in a bunch of UPCs, and it would give you back, the Amazon price, your profitability. You could actually put in a cost and stuff like that, and so you'd say, I have a list from a supplier. I went to ASD or whatever. I got their supplier list. You put it in, and then you get back a bunch of like profitability and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Scope doesn't even do that anymore. Actually, we might end up adding that feature back in, but Scope is now.
Why did you change?
When we first released, we had a few power users use it, but typically most people would come in, run a list, and find value, and that was it, right?
It was a one-shot thing.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't have lists either. Like, there's only a small subset of people that have lists, and there's also a lot of other people, that have different types of like analyzers that do that kind of thing. So it wasn't very unique. Yeah. And so we decided to kind of focus on, like, the real mission of Scope has been like to catalog the Amazon database. Like, that's what we've been trying to do. And so we have, millions and millions of keywords that we have identified that are searched on Amazon. And then we actually run those through Amazon. We map those to all kinds of different products. We have, so you can come into Scope and you can put an ASIN in, and it'll show you that ASIN. If we've been tracking it, it'll have historic review count over time. It'll have the price over time, the sales rank over time, all the ratings over time. It's really interesting. Like when you see, you can look at ASINs where like, after the policy updates, you can see like some ASINs that had a lot of incentivized reviews. Maybe like some of them got deleted.
So it dropped in the rankings big time after.
Yeah, you can see that, right? You can see that. You can see how it was affected. You can kind of look in there and see if somebody's like, if you're looking at sourcing a product, you can see like the trends and stuff like that. But I think like the real valuable thing with Scope is like for any ASIN, any popular product, you can basically find the keywords that it ranks for and what drives.
When I read that on your site, it's sophisticated Amazon keyword research and product discovery. So it helps people with probably sponsored ads, I would assume, if it gives
sponsored
you keyword
ads
research.
and listing optimization, right? And so back to your original question, like how do we launch a product? Like when we first launched Scope, again, it was, we had a waiting list of people that had signed up for the beta, and we rolled it out to them. And it was a product research tool for sourcing, and then it was also a tool for kind of keyword research. And the keyword research was actually somewhat weak. We weren't all the way there with it yet. The product sourcing part was pretty good. So we do like sales estimates and those kind of things. But we found that most people actually valued the keyword part of it. And so that's kind of how we iterate. So we'll give something to people, we'll see what they do, we'll see how they use it, we'll look at the churn rate on the software and everything, and we'll look at pricing and all those things. And then we'll take that back to our product team and develop more features that people want. And then now we feel like we have a really good product. So now we're not really testing the product anymore. We have a pretty solid roadmap. We know what we want to build. We're testing the messaging and the marketing of it. And so we're in the process of, instead of like hitting up our entire list, hit up like a small segment of our list.
Right.
And we're actually selling like today, like actually in 30 minutes, Jeff is starting a webinar, and it's the cheapest we'll ever sell Scope. Like it's our annual kind of like our introductory thing.
So who gets on the webinar? Is it customers from other products, or do you promote it to other people?
Yeah, so we actually, for this first webinar, we just sent out an email to like 5,000 of our best customers, a lot of them, and that kind of fit the right criteria. Yeah. Said, hey, you want to join this webinar? And then this is like most of our webinars, we replay them. This webinar, we're not replaying it. It's just, this is
because it's going to have a lower cost, so you don't want to replay that. Yeah,
exactly. This is our webinar. So we're always experimenting with things. So we'll try annual pricing, we'll try monthly pricing. Yeah, all kinds of different stuff like that. And so that's kind of what the whiteboard is, just like a strategy of how we're going to do that. I think the biggest thing, kind of pushing it back to like the Amazon seller, is understanding your audience and being willing to change, not just like picking a strategy and sticking with it. Right? Like the thing is like, and for example, for Scope, like it's taken me 2 years to really get the product that I had envisioned. It's actually been a huge challenge. We've had to overcome a lot of obstacles to be able to actually engineer what we've engineered. But now
and people not using Scrum, it takes them 5 years, right?
Well, we haven't always been very good at Scrum. Like, so if you think about like software development, when we first started, basically what we would do is we would have an idea and we would start writing code, and we would just like start coding, and then we got to the point where we're like, well, what if we like draw out on a mock-up tool like just a wireframe of like what we want to build, and let's talk about it first. And then we ended up getting some UI designers, and so then we're like, okay, they actually design the user interface. They come up with like high fidelity mock-ups, even a prototype. That you can take a product and you can have somebody design it in a week and say like, this is what it's going to do. When you click here, it does this and this. And then after you do that, after you've done all that, then you can kind of bring it in more into the Scrum process of like breaking it down into stories and breaking it down into 1 week sprints. And I think the best thing about Scrum, and it's more like Scrum is just a methodology. Really, it's about being agile. So agile is the philosophy. And then Scrum is like just a framework that you can use. Mm-hmm. And so you can use different types of agile frameworks. Scrum just happens to be the one that we chose to use. Yeah. But the idea is like shipping good software that people can use as fast as possible. And like we've done the opposite of that. Like scope is like 2 years is a long time to be developing. Like you can ask some people in the industry, they're like, Paul, you've been promising scope forever. And I'm like, it's here, finally. Like last year, people were giving me crap at Prosper because they're like, when are you going to launch scope? Because we had it on the website. And I was like, it's going to be here, I promise.
What's the messaging? Talk about the messaging for a second, because I think the message, you're talking a lot about the messaging and then user testing with the audience. And I think this can apply to any Amazon sellers. The messaging on whether it's their detail page or their bullets is really, you want to hit home for the audience. What is the messaging? What have you come up with right now for scope?
Yeah, so I think like the trick is understanding why people are using your product, like what problems it solves, right? So for scope, like it solves. So for example, if you're running a PPC campaign, the strategy right now is go into Amazon, run an auto-targeted campaign, get 100 keywords, half of them are crap, spend a couple $100 like wasting money basically to find some stuff that's actually working, then
shut down everything else,
shut down that, turn it into an actual exact match thing. Whereas like scope, it's come into scope, identify your top 3 competitors, harvest all the keywords that are working for them, start your PPC ad off on the right thing. And so the messaging, like that,
harvest your competitors' keywords is the title.
I mean, that's like, I don't have like all of our bullet points like perfectly, but the idea was
that's
like,
pretty good. Harvest your competitors' keywords.
The framework is like, or stop wasting money on automatic ads or whatever. Like it's not really like exactly the words you use. I think it's more like understanding that that's what people wanted, right? And like we didn't start with that idea,
right?
It's a little bit easier to do that in software, like in the physical product business. Like it's expensive to go and like change the product all the time, but you can do smaller runs, you can do different things like that. But the trick is like talking to your customers and understanding.
That's a novel idea.
It really. I mean, like especially with Amazon, like the idea is like I'm going to create this passive income, and Amazon's going to do the support for me, and I'm just going to like ship stuff into FBA.
Part of obviously what Feedback Genius is that for Amazon sellers, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, for Feedback Genius, like everyone's like, I want to get reviews, I want to get feedback, but you could also like literally just how's it going? Like, tell me how you like my product, et cetera, et cetera. And then with Feedback Genius, you can monitor reviews.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to look at the negative reviews in your product. Like,
so what should people do? Yeah, by looking at their negative reviews and other people's.
So I talked to a lot of customers, and they're like, Paul, I got all my competitors are leaving me negative reviews, and they're my customers are stupid. And I'm like, no, maybe your product is not good. Like,
it can never be that, right?
Yeah, and so I think like if enough people are saying, like, you are going to have, if you're in a popular thing, you might have you can't please everybody, and then maybe you're going to have a competitor mess with your listing or something. But like in general, if there's a common theme throughout your product, you should fix it. It's not rocket science, and a lot of people know this, but it's pretty simple. Like, look at your reviews. Don't just think, okay, how do I get rid of this? How do I turn you should do that. You should try to turn it into a positive, but you should also figure out how you can improve your product and make it better.
So talk about Feedback Genius for a second, Paul, and what are some mistakes people make? Because you probably see a lot of stuff come through across your desk. What are mistakes people make while communicating with their buyers?
Sure.
And then what are some good best practices?
Yeah, sure. So I think some common mistakes. So some people are too aggressive. I feel like they're kind of,
like too much of a discount, or what do you mean?
No,
aggressive?
it's like too spammy, right? Like it's like, I don't have a specific example at the top of my mind, but it'd be like giving, like one thing you could do to make sure that your message doesn't come off like spammy is to send the sequence to someone that you trust, but is going to give you a straight opinion, and be like, hey, if you got this email sequence from somebody on Amazon that you bought a product for, like how would you feel? So in other words, I think HubSpot actually says this. Somebody says this, but
Like your grandma test or someone.
it's the marketing golden
Yeah.
rule. It's market unto others as you would have them market unto you. I
Right.
mean, that's like the idea, right? And
What
so
if they like being marketed in spammy ways?
maybe they do.
I'm just kidding.
I mean, then you definitely need outside help. But like, I think the idea is like, so some people we don't like restrict the number of messages you can send, right? You can send 1 to 6 or 100 messages.
So is that
per
typical? I find do other softwares only let you do? I feel like other ones only let you send 1, or am I making that up?
I think only a couple let you restrict you, not that many.
Okay.
But I think that, if you're following up with somebody 12 weeks or 6 months after they ordered, you need to have a good reason to do it. I'm not saying that you didn't. I'm just saying.
So what do you recommend as follow up? Like, let's say the message is spot on. You deliver value. Maybe you give them a discount. I don't know if there's anything else you suggest you put in there.
Keep it about customer service and about the order and about pleasing the customer more so than asking them to do something for you. Like, that's my opinion. Like, and that's what Amazon wants too, right? Like, they don't want you really using it's kind of like Jedi marketing, right? Like, you're asking for a review, but really you're like, so for example, like a good message is, and this is kind of something you can do with Feedback Genius because we actually integrate with the shipping carrier, which is kind of our unique thing. So you can send a message like right when an order is delivered, and you can say, hey, it looks like your order was just delivered. By UPS. You can even say the carrier or something, right?
Yeah.
It looks like it was just delivered. Want to make sure you got it. Like, make sure it didn't, get lost. Like, if there's any problems, please let us know. We'll take care of it. So you can kind of like preemptively do customer service.
Yeah.
And then also, though, you're at the height of excitement for most products. Like most products, some products take a while to work, like if it's a supplement or something like that. But for a lot of products, they're going to get that instant satisfaction, like right when they get it.
Right.
And so if you have an email in their inbox, that's a great time to make sure there's not a problem, make sure that they're going to be really happy with the customer support, right? It's top of mind.
Yeah.
And then ask for a product review right then. Or
that's a really cool feature. So they can it can coincide with when it's delivered.
Yeah, and then you can do like another one, like I want to follow up 1 week later. And you can say, hey, like for this one, you're not going to talk about the delivery, but you're going to say like, hey, you got your product. I know you got your product a week ago. Just want to make sure it's still working for you. Make sure there's no issues. Like you can just keep it strictly about customer service and then be like, oh, by the way, will you feedback, So I think keeping it customer focused and positive on their experience is a better way to do it than, just saying, hey, leave me a review. Hey, give me feedback. Hey, et cetera, et cetera.
What's the frequency, Paul, that you've seen work the most frequent? Like someone has 20 messages. What have you seen work well? On average, do you recommend doing 1 message, 3 messages, 7?
Two is good.
2 is good. So like one right when they get it and one like a week or 10 days later or something?
Yeah, and then you can also like set filters to where if they've already left you feedback or a review or something, you don't necessarily have to do the follow-up message. Mm-hmm. So you can do things like that. But I would start with 2. So the one thing about Feedback Genius is we have pretty good analytics in there, so you can always see what works best for you, which is kind of interesting. That
have you seen a longer sequence work better for a certain product type?
Sure. Well, I couldn't give you a specific category, but okay, yeah, I can. So anything to do with supplements or health. Like a longer sequence is better, or like diet, like things that take a long time to work.
Yeah, like 60 days later, like, is this still sitting in your bathroom cabinet? You've not opened it yet?
Well, I mean, like if you think it's hard to ask for a product review for like a dietary supplement or something like that, like on day 1, right? Hey, how did it work for you? Like, give me a review.
This magic bullet, yeah.
You're better asking 60 days later when they've actually used it for a little while.
Right.
But you could keep feeding them encouragement, right? Like if one of even if it's like maybe it's not even a supplement, maybe it's like a workout device or something like that. And you say like, hey, like, you bought your thing. Like let's say I'm just making this up, but let's say we did a workout fitness product. We launched it right at the beginning of the year. We changed all of the Feedback Genius messages to be like New Year's resolution focused. And it's like, hey, you bought this thing. and let's help you keep your New Year's resolution, like yada 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 type thing.
Make it
Here's a
very
new list.
specific. Yeah.
I mean, you could do that, right? And that could work really well. You're not. That's creative, right? That's going to take a little bit of thought on the product owners
Yeah.
have. So like a lot of people have really interesting dialed in messages that work really well for their brand. And then if you went and did it for something else, it wouldn't make sense.
So why Feedback Genius? That was your first product, right? Cellular Labs.
Oh, this is a funny story. So, why Feedback Genius? So we actually had a business selling everything, like literally everything. It was like micro Amazon. And
Yeah, I think you guys had like a 17,000 square foot warehouse or something.
We had a 17,000 square foot warehouse, and one of the things we sold was loose mix media, which is CDs and DVDs and video games not in their case. And
Seems like a pain. Yeah.
they made a lot of money. So we would buy them in bulk for like, $500 and make 10 grand off of it or something like that. So it was like a nice little thing, nice little business. And anyway, the problem was that even though explicitly in the notes on the Amazon product, we would say this does not contain the original artwork, it's in a generic case, like everybody was leaving us negative feedback.
Right.
And so we already had like the system to run our business that like pulled in all the orders and did all this stuff. So Brandon, like one day, actually I went to the beach and I came back and he's like, I have a new product. It's an email tool. And this is what we're going to do. And he's like, check it out. You can like put a filter on here by SKU. So we prefixed all of our loose mix media with the SKU LMM. And so you can do this in Feedback Genius. And so like he said, anything that starts with the LMM, we're going to send this message. And it's going to be, and in Feedback Genius, it's pretty cool. So you can say like, I want to send this message as soon as the order's placed, like before it's even shipped or confirmed or anything. And he would send that message. And then it would be like, hey, we noticed you just bought this product name. Like, by the way, here's the description again, one more time. Like, it doesn't come in a case, it doesn't come with the original thing. If you want to cancel your order, click here. Otherwise, we'll ship it to you. Thank you very much. That, like, reduced negative feedback.
Wow. You preemptively sent a message. So, yeah.
And so there's a lot of people have problem products. Like, people don't know, maybe there's a special instruction they need to do. Maybe I bought one thing. This was kind of bad, but like I bought a game on Amazon and it was a card game. It was like this new card game and it didn't come with instructions. Like maybe they forgot to print it or something. I don't know.
Good luck with it.
Well, they could have at least used Feedback Genius to like preemptively send out the instructions. Like, hey, we know we don't have instructions. We're stupid, but here is the instructions digitally, right? You can print them off. So, yeah, that's how it started. Was kind of to solve a problem. That's how most of our products.
Yeah. So you have this secret sauce, Paul, that you're using for your business. So when do you decide to actually share it and create a business out of it?
Yeah. So we went to a different conference. I won't name it. An Amazon conference. This is before Prosper.
Okay.
And we went out to the to the show and we looked at all the solution providers there. We were actually kind of at one point we've gone there before looking for something to run our business. We didn't really find anything. We made the software ourselves, and then we went again and we were like, man, like there's a huge opportunity here in the software. The opportunity for us, like what we really want to do.
You wanted to purchase a better solution from someone else, possibly?
We're always looking for the best. Like when we were e-commerce, when we were actually focused on, selling products and making a profit, that was our focus. The goal was to have the best tool for the job. Yeah. Right. And we couldn't find one that did what we wanted to. And so we started building our own solutions. Yeah. And then we started realizing that our solutions were really good. Right. And better than it was on the market. And we started realizing that, we can make X amount of dollars selling this thing, but like the opportunity here is billions of dollars. Yeah. And we don't have enough capital, basically. Like we could hog it all for
It's a very capital intensive business.
It's a huge e-commerce is like I think that a lot of people think that they're going to get into Amazon. Maybe they took a course or something and they have like $5,000 and they're going to like make $1 million. And that's not true. Like what is true is that you can probably turn your inventory every 90 days if you're doing well. and you can make 20 to 30% returns every 90 days. Like that's a reasonable thing.
Right.
So there you're making 30% returns every 90 days. That's pretty good. I mean, you take $100,000 and you turn it every 90 days. That's great. But I kind of call it a rich man's game, right? It's somebody who has access to capital. Like whether you're gonna get it financed or you can get investors or whatever. We had the capital, but we still realized that the opportunity was bigger for software, which is why we got into software. And also we realized that like even if we had billions of dollars, there was no way that we were going to capitalize on all these opportunities. Like we might as well get out and help other people and help them capitalize on the opportunities as well.
So Paul, how long from when you're using what's now called Feedback Genius to when you actually released it to the public to use e-commerce founders for their consumption?
Yeah, it wasn't that long. So we really kind of started Feedback Genius in March. Now we had a bunch of other software before this that was actually powering. We never released it. We actually had a full-on inventory management system and repricing and all kinds of stuff. But it wasn't ever built. It was all tuned for our business. When Brandon built Feedback Genius, we built it with the intention of we're going to make this work for ourselves, but we're also going to make this work for other people. Like we knew
you were designing kind of the foundation for other people's use as well.
Yeah, we knew when we started Feedback Genius that we were solving our own problem, but that this was going to be our first product to bring to market. So I think
why did you decide on that? Because were you talking to other founders and they're like, yes, we want would you say we have this inventory management thing and this feedback, or was it just your intuition?
It was the easiest thing to bring to market. Like it was a lot easier to bring to market than an inventory management tool. Like inventory management fits everybody is really hard, and the sales cycle is really, really long.
Yeah.
Like to ask somebody to use your tool, now I'm not discounting Feedback Genius as engineering. We've done a lot of engineering on Feedback Genius. It's not like anybody can come up. People can build it. There's other email solutions that people pop up. It's pretty easy to build something that sends an email. To build something that Feedback Genius does is very complicated. But it's the sales cycle that's the hard part. You can have the best engineered inventory management system in the world, and it's going to be really hard to convince. Your customer acquisition cost is just really high, trying to get somebody onto that platform, because they have to change all of their business processes and everything.
It's a lot more onboarding time, and
most of that software is really opinionated. And we thought we're going to build this thing, it's going to be great, and then we built it, and we kind of started getting beta testers on that, and everybody wanted it to be different, right? They're we want it to work for this way of doing it. And then we're well, crap, we never thought about that. And then we're so we would make a change, and the next person would come along and be well, I wanted to do this. And we're this is terrible. We don't like this at all. We want you to just use our software the way we built it. And so we kind of realized in our first year of business that we were going to focus on
Feedback Genius.
Feedback Genius, and then also we kind of realized that we were going to focus on the whole market shifted, right? We went from people that had 100,000 SKUs to make $1 million to people that had 100 SKUs to make $1 million.
Why did that shift?
Because everyone went to private label and doing their own brands and stuff like that. I mean, there's still a lot of people if you actually look at the data, the resellers are still making more money, revenue wise. But what
would you tell people to do if they're starting? Would you say go the reseller route or go private label route?
It depends on the person.
Yeah.
First of all, so a lot of people that are resellers have a background. I kind of think of them as finance type people. They're almost if you're coming from the stock market, you're looking for securities or commodities or whatever to trade, and you want to kind of buy low, sell high.
So you can predict a little bit easier with the brand. You mean?
Yeah, with the brand, you can say you can look and say okay, let me find you're purchasing an asset, you're putting it into the marketplace, you're selling it, you're turning it over. If you're willing to kind of move and change a lot and stuff like that, then that's fine. But if you're more of a market marketer type person and you really interested in like creating and like doing a brand,
Yeah.
then I think doing your own brand. I don't really like the word private label, although I use it a lot. But I like the idea.
What's a better word?
A small
Your
manufacturer.
own brand or
Yeah,
something?
your own
Yeah.
brand, something like that, right? Like really creating something of value. I mean, we've proven that you can do your own brand with just taking something off Alibaba and slapping your logo on it.
Right.
Like that works.
So what were some of at the time, because you don't run, I mean, I had listed as Plug It anymore, right? So can you talk about what was successful that you sold
Yeah.
and what was not as successful that you sold?
So most of our stuff that we sold was successful. So we had two kind of businesses. We had a
Because
book
you would buy like just boatloads of pallets of stuff, right?
Yeah. So
From my understanding,
our
like
business
books
was
and
not a
CDs.
private label business or a reseller business. Our business was this other type of business
It's like a liquidation business, right?
Yeah, I break down e-commerce into like the Amazon business into like four models.
Okay, go ahead.
You have your scouters or your retail arbitrager type people. They're looking around, finding deals, kind of hustling, right?
Yeah.
Then you have your liquidators, and those are people that buy in bulk. They buy liquidation, they move through it. Then you have your resellers, and then you have your small brand, big brand, your brand owners, right?
Yeah.
You own the brand.
Yeah.
We were liquidators for the most part.
Yeah.
I started off kind of as a reseller it was half liquidation, half resale. So I bought musical instruments from one of the largest, they would get all of the seconds and scratch and dents and stuff from all the guitar manufacturers.
That was a discount guitar warehouse that you ran? Okay.
Yeah, and that was mainly an eBay business actually. But that did really well. We made, a few $100,000.
You were in college at the time, right? Running
Yeah, I
that?
was in college.
Yeah.
Yep.
Pretty good for
Yeah,
a
it was
college
pretty good.
student. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we discovered the postal auction.
How'd you discover that?
I Google, I guess. I don't know. I was just like, somehow I learned that there was the postal auction and it was in Atlanta.
Yeah. So walk me through. You see it on Google, then what happens?
Well, okay, so me and Brandon are eating lunch at this like Japanese steakhouse. And he's like, "Hey, I got some extra money.
You guys are rich college students, Japanese.
No, he's not a college student.
Oh, okay.
So he's like, I got some money and I want to do something with it. And I was like, "What do you want to do?" And he's like, "Well, I don't know. I already do a lot of stuff with books. I'm thinking about buying some books. Anywhere where we can get some books?" And I was like, "Yeah, I read online that you can go to the postal auction in Atlanta and buy books." So we go to the postal auction in Atlanta, and like, they have everything there. Like everything that's lost in the mail is there. They have these things. It's called a Gaylord, which is a funny name. It's like this giant pallet that has a box on it. And so if you go to the grocery store,
you can't see what's in it.
You can see the top, but that's it, right? And so you can buy like a Gaylord of books, and the books were a Gaylord of books was selling for like $2,000, and we were like, "This is crazy." But they have everything else there: computers, iPhones, gold, like everything, just all this stuff.
So you can choose what category? Like I want the electronic category.
So they separate the auction into 300 lots, and you just bid on a lot. So like one lot is a Gaylord of books, and it's whatever. So we're like sitting there doing math. We're like, okay, there's like
it's like that jelly bean game.
It's
how many
4
jelly
feet high and this big, and there's this many books in there, and the average book price is going to be this, and how much is this thing worth, and blah blah blah. So we go, and then the bidding starts. We think this is worth like $1,000 a pallet, and they go for like 2, and we're like, "Oh, these people are insane. What is happening?" And we leave. And then the next month it happens again, and we're like, well, "Let's go back. That was really interesting. Let's actually buy something this time. Let's just do it." So we just decide we're going to buy a pallet of books. We don't care how much it costs. Like if it's $2,000, like whatever. So we buy a pallet of books.
It's a curiosity. I just want to see what's in that box.
Yeah. So it's like Storage Wars, right? So we buy like a pallet of books, and we buy a thing of electronics actually. So the books go to Brandon's garage, and the electronics come to my spare bedroom, actually.
So you can't live anymore,
yeah. And so that's where, so I put the electronics on. So that's where Plug It kind of came. That's the name Plug It came from. And then his business was Check It Books, and so we kind of had these two businesses. And so mine was full of like a bunch of laptops. A lot of them needed like hard drives and stuff. So they pulled the hard. So I like fixed them all up, got them on eBay, sold them, and then Brandon like did like he already had Book Scout at the time, so he wrote like this special software that would like price them and everything.
Yeah,
and
you could put in. I remember you could put in whatever the code is, and it would create.
Do everything. You just scan the UPC, and then it would like find it on Amazon. You scan the UPC or the ISBN. Sorry, scan the ISBN, choose a condition, and then it would put it on Amazon.
Yeah.
It would tell. Eventually, it would tell the employee where. If we were going to send it to Amazon, if we were going to put it on our shelves, or if we were going to recycle it. And it would do all the pricing for them. We had automatic pricing and everything. So it was literally like scan a book, choose a condition, put it somewhere. So
you were sort of liquidators, resellers. I mean, you were reselling the like books and other things, right?
We were buying we were sourcing it from liquidators.
Right.
And then we were like reselling it on Amazon.
Yeah.
But it's the way you get your inventory is the way I look at it. But
yeah.
By the end of it, like we ended up we didn't really merge the companies financially, but we merged them with like kind of staff and like and warehouse
the processes.
We had this like 17,000 square foot warehouse. I was building eBay software. Brandon was building Amazon software. Like we kind of like put them together, and we had this big warehouse, and we had some people that worked on the kind of plug it business, some people that worked on the book business, shared resources.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't say like, oh, there was this one product. I mean, I can tell you products that made us a lot of money. Like one of the things that made us the most money was we had one lot of sporting goods we bought, and it was like a couple $1,000s. And like in that lot, there was these broadheads, which are like arrowheads that you put on a bow and arrow that people use for like big game hunting. Like you can kill an elephant with it or something.
Really?
Like that. And those things, we made like $15,000 off of that.
That's a cool niche business.
We sold them and then they were done, right? And that was it. And then there was one thing I got like $10,000 worth of dental drills in there or something like that. I mean, it was just random stuff, right? But those businesses did really well. The book business was like, that business was like buy stuff, you research it, you figure out what it is, you put it on the internet, and then you sell it, right? The book business was similar, but it was like an economy of scale thing, right? It was more competitive.
You need the infrastructure. Yeah.
Much more scalable. We ended up kind of really losing our minds and deciding to buy double stack tractor trailer loads from Goodwill. So it's like, thousands and thousands of books. And we had it tuned into a process. It was like $5,000 for a tractor trailer, maybe. And it was like $7,000 like into our warehouse or something like that. And then we could process them for like 3 or 4, and then over the course of the year they'd like net out like $19,000 or something like that. We kind of had it like tuned in really well, but then the thing that we screwed up on was, and this was with all of our e-commerce, was we were terrible at operations. We always ran our businesses like a software company, and so
what do you mean?
No one ever had a schedule really. Like we didn't, like people could kind of come and go. Like they had to clock in hourly, but there wasn't like a lot of controls in place. It wasn't like a strict, environment.
It's not a work from home type of environment.
It should have been much more strict, and we kind of let it be very nice and like if I walked you around the office today, like it's, we have 40 employees, but only 10 of them are in the office right now. That's the way we've always done business.
Right.
And works great for a software company. It doesn't work very good for an operation. So that's where we were weak at. And we kind of realized like, that's another reason why we decided to go into the software business, was because we didn't want to run this really...
I don't want to deal with a warehouse and inventory and all this other stuff.
Right. And so like in the meantime, like Brandon had done another business with his brother that was more of like the traditional FBA business. And we had done some FBA stuff as well. And I can't really talk about his brother's stuff because it's still making lots of money.
Yeah.
But they ended up buying a brand and doing really well with that. And we were like, okay, this is like a much more attractive style of business, like leveraging Amazon's fulfillment centers, not being in your own. Like I would never run a warehouse again, like ever. You're much better off like if you're not doing Amazon, you should at least use like a 3PL or something like that.
Yeah.
Like,
any 3PLs that you've discovered that you'd recommend to people to check out?
Oh gosh, there's one, man, I can't remember their name. They're like completely, I haven't used them personally, but they seem really cool. They're like a big startup, and everything they do, they just got bought by another company, and everything they do is like completely automated. They have an API. You can tap into it. They're really high tech. I have to look at it. I can't remember. Let me Google it really quick while we're talking.
Yeah, because there's a few. I interviewed one. I think it was called ShipBob. That was one that is doing something like that. Yeah, ShipBob is one. I've interviewed the founder of that. That's sort of similar. It's only in certain areas, certain cities, though.
Yeah, these guys are pretty big. They got bought by a company that everyone's heard of, and I can't remember.
Well, if you think of it, let me know, and we can link it up there.
Yeah, I haven't used them, but they just seem like they have their act together, and I like the fact that they have an API for everything, which lets me know that if you need to develop your own solution, if you're big enough where you're using a third-party logistics provider besides Amazon, like you're probably big enough to like pay a developer to hook some stuff together, or you have some enterprise software on the back end, and so you want somebody with.
It's a signal to you. It's kind of in it for the long haul.
Yeah, I know they're in it for the long haul, and I can tell that they have all the technology where you can build really cool custom integrations that do interesting things. Yeah. That's why I thought they were neat.
So, Paul, any other big mistakes that stand out to you that sellers are making? One is, some of the ones that you were talking about, like maybe not running the operations on a schedule, or I know you're mentioning, maybe spammy emails. What else are mistakes that you're seeing people make? And maybe it's with this, kind of around the snag shout or scope.
So I think one of the biggest things that people do incorrectly is they waste their time on the products or the opportunities that aren't benefiting them, right? So it's the 80-20 rule.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. Like, I mean, this is said over and over again, but it's still good. Like, 20% of our efforts make 80% of our money. And so to kind of pull in another product that we're accepting beta testers for right now is Quantify.
Yeah.
And so like what Quantify does is I wanted to build this because of this exact phenomenon. Like, I think this is the biggest problem that established sellers have. They have all of these SKUs. They're in love with all of them.
Right.
And a lot of them are either losing the money or they're just the opportunity cost is too high, right? And so it's sometimes hard. Like, I went to one person's warehouse and they were like, "Hey, we want you to help us get on an inventory management system. We want to like catalog everything. We want to do all this work." And I said, "Okay, do you know what your top 10 SKUs are?" And they were like, "No, we don't." And I was like, "This is terrible." I mean, they had a multi-million-dollar Amazon business, and they couldn't really even show me all of their stuff. And I've talked to a lot of people. They're like, I did $1 million on Amazon, but I lost 100,000 or something like that. And it's like, okay, you don't really know.
It's not what you make,
you're
it's what
making
you
money,
keep.
but you're making money, but you don't know what's making you money, right? You don't know what the winners and losers are.
So what are people doing? Are they using a spreadsheet? How are they keeping track of it?
I mean, I think there's like obviously a few products that are doing some things. I think some people are using a spreadsheet. If you look at like if you look at all of the costs that are involved in an Amazon business, like there's so many got yous though. And that's really what we've been doing with Quantify.
All the fees, you mean?
Yeah. So like, it's not just your FBA fee and it's also your advertising fee. It's also your promotional fee. It's also your, what else? The return rate that you get on the product. Like, there's all of these costs that go into a product. So we built Quantify where you basically put in your loaded cost, which is like your cost to get it into fulfillment by Amazon, like whatever it is to get it in there. So it's built for if you're like receiving.
So you calculate the shipping and the cost of the product, and maybe any labeling fees or things. Like that.
You kind of come up with an average price, right? So it might be let's say you have a water bottle and it's $2 landed to FBA. So you put that cost in there, and then instead of parsing 20 different business reports and doing all this crap, we pull it all together for you and let you see your actual true profitability on that SKU. And the really interesting thing that we do though is we also have like it's using the transactions API. So there are some other software providers that kind of try to make it up using the orders API, but I don't think anybody's really using the transactions API. And then we also have to pull in a ton of business reports from Amazon to like give you the full picture. And so, I mean, I think that we have the most complete picture.
Seems complicated.
It's complicated, and there's a lot of things you have to do
on the back end. Yeah,
really get that accurate thing. And the thing that we've really done is we've allowed, especially if you're a big seller, you can actually query your data kind of like in a nice user interface. So you can come in and be like, show me products that have, so we also pull in all of your conversion data and all of your different data points there, like your conversion rate and your sessions and everything. So you can say like, show me products that I have a high ad spend on that I'm losing money on, or show me products that I have, a lot of sessions but poor profitability. Whatever kind of questions you want to ask of your Amazon business, you can kind of ask that to quantify, and then you can create a custom report and do that. And we've like generated all these things, so it's really nice if you have a lot of SKUs. But I guess one of the biggest problems that I think sellers have is that they don't understand their true cost.
They're not tracking anything.
They're not tracking that
what
performance.
You're saying, and then from tracking, choose your top 20% or 10% and maybe cut the fat off.
Cut the fat off or figure out how to fix it, right? Like
Right.
I can oftentimes come into somebody's business, and if they put in their true cost, you can kind of like be like, okay, I just paid for my software for a year for you for the rest of eternity because I just saved you $5,000 by stopping to sell this product. You know, you were burning $5,000 on this. Like that's an easy win.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a huge mistake I think people make, is not understanding their business analytics.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about Snack Shout. And it's interesting because Snack Shout worked really well, and then there was a review policy update.
Yes.
And so talk about what happened with that and then how Snack Shout iterated.
Yeah, so I mean,
So originally Snack Shout was...
it was a giveaway a product in exchange for a review, right? Like that was kind of the thing. It kind of came to me. We were having some conversations with customers with Feedback Genius, and they were like, Feedback Genius is great to get reviews if I already have sales, but what do I do if I don't have any sales?
Everyone wants more sales, yeah.
What do I do if I don't have sales? How do I get reviews? And I was like, I don't know. And one day, like, wait a minute, why don't we make a platform where you like give away a product in exchange for a review? And I think, I'm not saying that we were the first people to do that, but I think that we were one of the first, and we were definitely like the biggest. If we were one of the biggest, definitely. If not
I
the
think,
biggest.
when I went on the site the other day, it said there's like 200,000 active shoppers or something.
Yeah, 250,000 shoppers.
That's amazing.
So we were really big. I mean, pretty big in that space. And so, I always knew that it was a fine line. I always knew that like if giving away a product, we have to have this disclaimer. We have to keep it legitimate. We can't let
they'd have to put a disclaimer like I received this for a discount or something like that, so people know that there was some incentive there for them to leave it.
And we also had to make sure that the sellers couldn't influence the shopper to leave a positive review. We never let them communicate with the shopper. We never let them. I mean, they could do it through Feedback Genius, but they didn't have like this kind of like they didn't have the authority to like ban somebody from the platform or we always made sure that the shoppers would be honest.
Yeah.
And we were like really careful to do that. And it was kind of hard because some people would go and they put their product on Snack Shout and they'd get a bunch of negative reviews because their product was bad. And they would call us up and they'd be like, we're going to go to your competitor. We don't like you. You guys are terrible. You need to ban this person. They don't know what they're talking about, all this stuff. And typically we would side with the shopper and say like, no, they're being honest. They've been on our platform for a long time. Every now and then there's somebody that was being malicious, but for the most part, that wasn't the case.
Right.
And a lot of other people in the space didn't have platforms that were nearly that honest, in my opinion. They would actually allow you to choose who got your product, and they would pull in their ratings and they would pull in all this stuff. And if you went to...
So you're more likely to get someone who leaves a positive review.
Completely. It was always... It was the unwritten rule that if they would pull in your average star rating, of your reviews, and if you didn't have a 4-star rating on average, you would not get products. They just would not give them to you.
Right.
And so everybody just would never give anybody. You could read the forums. It was like, I don't get products. And so then you had like these guys like Review Meta and stuff going around scraping Amazon and like statistically proving that reviews that contained the disclaimer had a higher average star rating than reviews that didn't. And so I noticed this like early on, and so we started doing analytics tracking our average review rating, and our average review rating was always closer in line to organic. It wasn't quite as good as organic, like it's low. Actually.
Yeah, I mean, if someone's getting a free product, whether they're honest or not, they're gonna tend to.
There was still a little bit, but I think we were getting really close. We were like at 4.4, and Amazon was at like 4.3 or something like that, average stars. Whereas, the on average, if you just took the average of all of them, it was 4.7, and a lot of those had our incentivized reviews in there. So we were pulling the average down. So if you really looked at it, it was a bunch of 5-star reviews that were getting generated from all these other websites. Right. And Amazon like rightly had to do something about that. It was like a press nightmare. Did you see that
ahead of time? Like what was the writing you saw on the wall?
My original thing was like, maybe if we can, like, I wrote a big blog post about this. I was like, maybe if we can like make a big enough stink about this, like Amazon will like allow us to continue, but like force these other guys out or whatever. But they didn't. They were just like, no, we're only going to we're going to control it.
They just made a cut across, and
they said
this is the line, and no one's allowed to. Yeah.
No one but us. Now they still do it.
What did they do?
They still have the Vine. It's the same thing as Snagshot. It's just that you can't access it unless you're a vendor, and it costs thousands of dollars. But you can use Vine if you're a vendor, if you're selling on first party, and you can. It's like you can only get like 30. You can give about like 30 samples out, but it's exactly what Snagshot was basically. I mean, we copied them in a lot of ways, right? Like we tried to make it better, but like that's what we did, and we used their same language and everything, right? And so they're still doing exactly what they did,
right? Because then you could point to them, like if they ever say you can't do it, like you're doing it
wrong with what we were doing. I think it was great. Like I think it was awesome.
Just certain people maybe ruined it for the rest of. They abused it.
So then Jeff likes to say. I don't remember. It was like October 3rd. October 3rd at breakfast, everything was great. October 3rd at lunch, everything sucked, right? Like, basically, like, we had this, like, huge disaster, right? And we're like, what are we going to do?
So how do you hear about that? Like, do you just have customers emailing you frantically, or do you hear about it from Amazon?
No.
And we're talking about where they basically said they were removing or they weren't allowing people to do the effective
immediately. You can't do discount. You can't give away exchange. So, yeah, I don't know. I think Jeff was the first person to find out about it. Probably someone hit him up on the internet or something, right? And then we were like, okay, like, he called, and we were like, we immediately like went to work, like removing, like people didn't sleep for 2 days, like removing.
So what did you do? Yeah,
we just removed every single thing about reviews from our platform, and we messaged everybody. And said that Snagshot is no longer a platform to get reviews; it's a platform to generate sales for your business. And a lot of people, the strength in Snagshot was actually always about getting sales.
Yeah,
it's kind of funny, but like if you want your product to rank on Amazon, the way you win is selling more than your competitor. That's really it. Like if your competitor sells 10 units a day, you need to sell 11. That's how you win in search. That's really all there is to it.
Yeah.
And so we still knew that Snagshot was really valuable and really, really powerful tool. It's just that you weren't going to get that added bonus of a review.
So you just had to remove language. The function's the same, but you have to remove language of you no longer have to leave a review and you do not need to put in some disclaimer.
Yeah, I mean, we had a pretty...
Did anything else change?
We had a pretty sophisticated system. So when somebody used to sign up for Snagshot, they used to have to link their Amazon account. And after they linked their Amazon account, when they snagged a deal, they couldn't get another deal until we found their review for that product. And then after you had developed enough trust, we would let you get more deals at once, right? So it was pretty sophisticated. So we had to rip all of that functionality out. It actually simplified the platform, to be honest. And we didn't have to like start checking for reviews, and it made it like the sign up process a lot easier and stuff like that, right? So we still limit the amount of deals somebody can get just because we don't want one person grabbing all the stuff.
Right.
But we don't track reviews anymore. We don't collect reviewer IDs. We don't do any of that stuff anymore. And then we also completely changed our pricing model because
talk about how you came to so before it was you pay per item, right?
Yeah,
depending on your volume.
So the value add was like the value of Snagshot was very high because you were getting a review, right? Like it was very high because you had it was like an 80% chance if you sold an item on Snagshot, you'd get a review.
Yeah.
And so that's a really high value. Like sellers are willing to spend $5 for that, right?
Yeah.
Like it's really good, especially if it's an honest review. Well, now Snagshot is a platform where you can sell a product for a discount and you can generate sales velocity. It's not, you don't get the review. It's
so it
still
went
valuable.
from like sales velocity with the sale and the review really helped, and now it went to more, you could get a review, but it's really more for sales velocity.
Yeah, it's more sales velocity, and so it's not, in my mind, it's not as valuable. Like we can't charge as much, or we can't justify charging.
But if they use Feedback Genius with that, then maybe they get a review, right?
Review, but I still think the review rate's going to be more like 10% instead of 80%, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's not as high. It's not as high of a thing, and so we decided that we were going to change pricing, and so we changed pricing to be just pay as you go or monthly subscription. And we really increased the value. So if you have one SKU, you can put it on there and you can get unlimited snags. So that used to cost, like for any product launch, you're going to need to probably sell 100 units.
Yeah. So $5 would be $500 for that month, possibly.
It's like $39 a month.
So how did you come to that price?
That's a good question. We looked at the market. We looked at where our customers kind of sat, if everybody kind of stayed, and like if we would achieve revenue parity. And so we kind of looked at those things, and then some of it was gut too, right? I mean, we definitely took a revenue hit on Snagshot, like a big revenue hit. But in the long run, we've basically set ourselves up for a unified solution. So we wanted to move everything to kind of monthly subscription pricing anyway.
Yeah.
Because we rolled out in
that was
beta.
A per product. Yeah. Before it was per product.
Yeah, and so everything that Seller Labs has now, you can choose a la carte. You can pay $20 for Feedback Genius and $40 for Snagshot. But we're rolling out, we've started doing this in beta, Seller Labs Pro.
Yeah.
Where you can buy all of our software and for one price.
That's cool. So how does that work right now? We'll put a disclaimer subject to change because you may be adding other tools. But.
So we are going to raise the price. Right now, the lowest is $79.
And you get everything.
Yeah, it's not even advertised anywhere. It depends. It's on your order volume. So
because I know looking at the site, I don't think I saw anything that said Sellers Pro on it.
He knows about this, right? So if a bunch of people watch this and they sign up for Sellers Pro, I'll know where they came from.
So how do they even get to it?
So nobody gets to it.
There's like a secret. You should have like a secret spot on the homepage where if you know to click something like the little flask in the top left corner, then they get to the Pro.
No, I think you can probably like do the URL. Like I think it's like sellerlabs.com/pro or something. I don't know what the URL is off the top of my head, but there's a page.
But you're not really pushing it.
We're not pushing it because we don't have it completely automated. So basically you go into it, you choose your order volume, and then you say like I want Pro, and then a customer service person has to set it all up for you right now. And so we're kind of testing it out. But yeah, it's basically a way for you to bundle all of our stuff together. And pretty soon we'll roll that out automated, but if people are interested in it, they can just contact customer service and say I want to be on Pro. And basically, it's just we just look at it based on the size of your business, and obviously, the bigger your business, the more work we have to do. Right? You're going to use more Snagshot. You're going to send more messages on Feedback Genius. You're going to have more orders coming in on Quantify, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's kind of how we scale it.
So Snag Shout right now, I mean, the pricing may change. It's 39 for
On
one
the low end, yeah,
for
for one
one
SKU,
SKU.
limited snags though.
Unlimited snags for one SKU is 39, and then there's a 99
$99,
gives you five
yeah, and then there's
different SKUs.
mm-hmm, all the way
Okay,
up to unlimited for
got
300
it. And then it
grams.
keeps going up depending on how many products or SKUs you have.
Yeah, so one thing that we're doing with Snapshot right now that's kind of interesting is not only will your product show up on Snapshot, but if you want to do like a one-time use code, so Snapshot supports one-time use codes, I'm sorry, but then Amazon has this concept of like a multi-use promo code where you just put it out there and you can do like a 20% off deal, and you can't really limit it. And
Yeah.
but if you just want to run like an unlimited type deal, we've actually been working with a bunch of other websites to where we have an API and we have a WordPress plugin and stuff like that. And so you can actually have you can put your deal on Snagshout, and then you can syndicate. You can make a syndicated deal, and then we'll syndicate that out to partner websites. And
That's
so,
cool.
Yeah, so like we don't.
So you
have
get in front of a wider audience.
get in front of a wider audience. So like we don't have a whole lot of
That's cool. Yeah.
a whole lot of partners yet, but one of them that we do have right now that's kind of in beta is Slick Deals. It's a pretty big deal.
Slick deals, yeah.
So you can do like a syndicated deal on
that.
Snapchat, and you have to be. I think that counts as a campaign, but if you're right now, I think if you're on the $99 plan, we actually let you do those unlimited syndicated deals because we're trying to get that off the ground.
So not for the one campaign, but for the $99 a month.
99 and up, you can do like unlimited syndicated deals actually. So they'll just put them out there. So the idea is to have like this big network. Like I'm gonna launch my product. I want a bunch of
That needs to be on there.
The
99 a month needs to have like, because right now there's 5 active campaigns, and be like you also get syndicated on like.
We send out an
Slick
email to all
deals.
of our all of our customers on a $99 plan,
Yeah.
and we're like, hey, you can get this.
Yeah.
But
I'm just saying that would sway me looking at the page. If I saw the basic, I'm like, 99. You get syndicated on this website.
Yeah, I know. We're just working on it.
With millions of views of traffic. Yeah.
All the new hotness that not everybody knows.
This is
about.
good. No, I like that. So what about, I remember talking to Brandon about, I don't know if he called it super URLs, where you can basically, when they're clicking through, you can sort of have certain keywords it's like they're clicking on certain keywords. Is that still working the same, or is that changed at all?
So we found. So
what do you call that? Is that the wrong term? It's not super URL. It's something. He called it something. I don't remember what it was, but
super URL's kind of been the term that everybody's
that's what it's called.
in the industry has decided is what it's going to be.
Okay.
So, I mean, to give some background on that, like
it's a keyword rich.
Yeah. So we were one day on Amazon. We were goofing off, and we were just like looking at URLs because that's what we do at Seller Labs, and and we were like, hey, look at all these like keywords in this URL, and then we're like, what's this QID thing? And we kind of started thinking about it, and we started looking at it, and we're like, oh my gosh, like whenever I search something on Amazon, they pass these keywords and this QID thing into
light bulb. Yeah.
into the thing. We're like, oh my gosh, we should build a product that like, allows you to like pass in keywords and like, do this QID.
Yeah.
And so we did. We actually built a product called Search Rank, which we don't advertise and we don't really sell anymore.
Okay.
But it allows you to like track your keyword position, which Scope does that, and then it allows you to generate this like super URL. Did actually this super URL type thing, and then everybody else in the industry started like building their own super URL tool, and then we were kind of like, oh, it's kind of weird, kind of spammy, it's kind of hacky. We don't necessarily know if we want to like be all about this, and so we didn't really like get into it. And then Amazon released a policy update about like manipulation and stuff like this, and we kind of read into that like one of those things was like, we just thought Amazon really wouldn't appreciate a super URL.
Yeah.
It's too much, right? And so
it's really in the gray area right now. It's still in the gray area.
Yeah, I mean, like I've heard from some people that I've heard a source from a source said that they were
Jeff Bezos.
They were speaking at it was a pretty high up like VP of something at Amazon, and they were like, yeah, we don't like super URLs. Now I haven't necessarily heard of somebody getting their account suspended for using a super URL or anything like that, but I have we just haven't really supported it actually in a long time.
Right.
And we have found that it's not really that effective anymore.
Yeah, it's not worth the risk type of thing.
It's just, it's not that effective. What we are going to release pretty soon is a way for you to rank for specific keywords. It's going to be super proprietary. We're not going to explain how we do it, but we do have
to rank for certain keywords.
Yeah, so you'll be able to target certain keywords and rank for them, and it's going to be really cool.
Is that part of which product?
It's going to be part of Snagshout 2.0, which is going to be called something completely different.
So you're gonna eliminate Snagshout?
Snagshout will still be there for shoppers, but we're gonna have kind of basically we're building a new marketing platform. You'll be able to do Snagshout, but you'll also be able to do syndication and a bunch of other really cool things. So we'll still have Snagshout for the shoppers, but we'll have a whole new marketing platform
for the sellers.
For the sellers.
The sellers. I want to ask about Paul. Thank you. This is super valuable. So I hope you're having as much fun as me.
Yeah, it's fun.
In this. I want to talk about some software tools and resources you recommend. Obviously, it goes without saying, Feedback Genius, Snagshout, Scope, Quantify. Before we talk about that, though, you were a professional musician. Yes. From a young age?
I got my first guitar when I was 15, and
Are you gonna play a Prosper show for us?
If James lets me, I will bring my Les Paul and
all right.
Stage. No, so yeah, I got my
because that's late to start. No, 16.
Yeah, it was late. 15. Yeah, I was late. Left-handed. I was terrible. Didn't know how to play anything. No one wanted to be in my band.
Like, was this to get girls? What made you start?
I just had a friend that I met like in 9th grade, and he played guitar, and I thought it was really cool. And so then for Christmas one year, my parents were like, "What do you want?" And I was like, "A guitar." And so they gave me a guitar, bought me a left-handed Mexican Strat, and I took a few lessons. I was really terrible. I kind of like left my guitar. I got my driver's license like a few months after that, turned 16. My guitar kind of went on the back burner for a little while. Put it in my trunk, and they got all out of like really bad. Like, had to take it to a guitar shop when I decided to pull it out to get it fixed, get it set up again. And then I really started playing, and between my junior year, I was really like, I want to be a musician, and everyone was
that's
like,
what you wanted to do. Yeah.
They're like, yeah, you're terrible at music. Why are you? This is what everyone told me. And then between my sophomore and senior year in high school, the summer, I just like got a bunch of guitar books, sat down, and just like really learned how to play guitar. I just went to and I took some lessons, and I started playing classical guitar and on all these different things. And but I came back to high school, 12th grade, and everyone was like, "Oh, we want to be in your band now. You're really good at guitar." I was like, "I told you." And
did you have a band then?
Yeah, so we had a band, and
the Fighting Geese. What'd you call it?
Yeah, no. The band was called Interview.
I like that. That's
not
good.
But Interview.
I gotcha. I'm like, that's gonna be my new theme song for my Inspired Insider.
Yeah. So yeah, but the we made money playing, but the real money, like the reason why I can call myself a professional musician, was because I taught guitar lessons. So I went back to the place that I took lessons at, and they were like, "Hey, we need a guitar teacher," and I was like, "Cool, I'll do it." And so, like, my dream for the longest time was to literally open up my own guitar shop and teach guitar lessons. That's what I was going to do for the rest of my life. And then I did that. I actually
Really?
I was in college.
Well, when you were selling the guitars.
I started the Discount Guitar Warehouse, and then I opened up a retail location, and I taught guitar.
So can any of your songs be found on YouTube or anything?
I don't think so, for good reason. No, like my old band was not that great actually. When I think,
I've had some rappers, like they happen to be white rappers, but I have definitely found them and clipped them on the back of interviews or put them on the post. So
I might.
Is there a way to scour the internet? Like, what was the band called? I mean, it was. How do you spell it though?
INNERV, but you're not going to find that.
I'm not going to find it. Okay.
No, I do have. I have some CDs of like some
interview.
stuff.
I gotcha. Yeah. Cool. I love that. So talk about some software tools, resources. What else should people be, obviously, checking out Seller Labs suite. What else should they be checking out that you find valuable for software tools?
This is specifically for the Amazon seller.
Yeah, it could be Amazon or e-commerce in general.
Okay. So for sourcing products, I haven't used this extensively, but Import Genius is pretty cool. So Import Genius, you can you can put in like a competitor or whatever, and it'll typically, if they haven't obscured stuff too much, you can actually see the manufacturer,
Wow.
like the actual factory in China that they get their stuff from. So you can be you can get a lot of information and find factories and stuff like that. It's fairly expensive. I think it's like $400 or something like that. I don't know, but it's pretty cool. Let's see some other cool tools. So on the side of that,
I ask because you probably hear about everything with what you do and from your sellers.
Yeah. So another thing on the sourcing side, I'm gonna walk through.
Yeah, go ahead.
But still on sourcing,
People love this.
This isn't necessarily a software that you would buy. It's it's a website, but it's called Asia Inspection. So if you're getting stuff made in China or whatever, you can go to Asia Inspection, and for
how do you spell it? Is Asian Inspection?
Asia Inspection.
Oh, Asia Inspection. Okay.
Yeah, you can go there and get a order an inspection for $300.
Oh, nice.
And then you can also get a lab test and all these different things done on your product. So that's pretty cool software. Let's see. Go through. If you're doing multi-channel listing, I'm afraid to and I'm not going to endorse anything, but I think that Sellbrite is it looks pretty cool. I haven't used it personally, but I think it seems like if you're trying to sell, they actually have a hookup where you can kind of hook up your FBA inventory. Oh, there's also Joe Lister actually, which is similar. So if you're trying to expand to other channels, you can look at, some of those things.
Sellbrite or Joe Lister?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then if you're just doing orders, obviously Skubana. You've done some stuff with Skubana.
Yeah.
Before. They're more
Chad
expensive.
rocks the mic at Prosper Show.
Yeah, they're more for bigger customers, I would say.
Yeah.
Typically.
Yeah, Skubana is for bigger type customers.
Bigger type customers for sure. What else? Let's see. So this is something that people probably already know, but just using Google Keyword Planner and stuff like that is always useful. And then if you're not using accounting software, everybody should be using QuickBooks Online or maybe Xero. I think we used to use Xero, and then QuickBooks Online got a lot better, and now we use that and we love it.
Why'd you switch?
QuickBooks Online. Okay, so we could probably have a whole podcast about this.
Yeah.
So
because this is the fundamental stuff. I wouldn't glaze over it, right? 80-20 stuff is huge, even though people know it. Google Keyword Planner, QuickBooks Online. That's sort of keeping track of everything. So
here's another one: Slack.
Slack, yeah.
Slack. If you have a team, use Slack. I think it's great for communication. Yeah. So Xero used to be a nicer user interface. It was made to be online. It was kind of online first kind of stuff. QuickBooks was really lagging. It was clunky. It wasn't very good. But as soon as you hire a bookkeeper or an accountant, they all want QuickBooks, every single one. And QuickBooks Online is actually really good now.
Yeah.
It's actually better.
They've improved it.
Than Xero. So if you're going, I know it's tempting to use something simpler like a FreshBooks or a Xero or something like that, but if you're going to hire a bookkeeper, then I think QuickBooks is really the way to go.
I like QuickBooks Online for a lot of reasons, but one reason is I can talk to a human being. I can actually call up and get a customer service person online. Xero, they have no phone support whatsoever, which sometimes you just want to call someone.
Oh, here's a couple other softwares I was thinking.
Yeah.
If you're doing off Amazon email, you would want to do obviously you have your MailChimp, you have your Aweber. GetDrip is actually a pretty cool
Yeah, they were just purchased by Lead Pages.
Yeah, they got purchased by Lead Pages. Yep. So we actually use we used to use
Nice.
HubSpot, which is like really expensive.
We'll give Rob Walling a shout out. Or
Yep.
yeah.
But yeah, I do like Get Drip actually if you're doing any type of email marketing. Let's see. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Any conferences you like outside of, obviously Prosper Show? What other conferences do you like to check out? Do you go to MicroConf?
No.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
So the 3 conferences that I will consider attending this year. So I'm going to Prosper.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is Internet Retail, like IRCE.
Mm-hmm.
And that one, if you're an Amazon seller, you might not get as much value. They have a pre-conference day, which is they have a workshop for Amazon. It's okay, but I like going there to see like the trends in the e-commerce industry, and then they have like probably the most extensive like vendors.
They're huge. It's like what, like 700 or 800 exhibitors or something?
Yeah, I think that's like a really good place to go to get your finger on the pulse of everything. Like if you're a small seller and you're bootstrapping, like don't waste your money going to IRCE. Like it's not worth it. But if you have the cash and you want to learn a lot, it's a good place to go.
Yeah.
Another good conference to go to, I'll plug ours. I don't know when we're going to do it, but we did our first conference last year. It's called Resonate.
Where was it?
It was in Atlanta.
Okay.
It was small.
It's a good name. You guys are good at naming things.
We spend a lot of time thinking about it, probably too much.
Why Atlanta?
Well,
because you're local? Or?
Yeah, we just did it. We're in Athens, and that's like we didn't have to fly anybody in. It was like it was funny. Like we charged $300 for the conference, but I should say we're not going to do this next year, but we did like an escape the room event.
What is that?
And it's like this crazy game where like everyone like gets into teams and there's like a bomb you have to defuse and do all this fun stuff. So we did that. It was like an unconference. Jeff did it all.
What do you mean by unconference? Like there weren't really speakers?
We had speakers, but like there was no sponsors. It was really intimate. We made everybody verify. So our goal was to only invite people that were either doing $1 million or more on Amazon or trending towards that. We're going to open it up this year to other people. We're going to have probably tracks, and we might.
When do you usually have it, or when are you going to have it?
I think we're going to do it in May. I'm not sure. We haven't even picked a location yet. We might not do it in Atlanta.
Yeah.
But that one, it's just a different type of conference. Like we used to go to a lot of conferences, and so we know
you've narrowed it, or at least you personally have narrowed it.
It's nice for us. I mean, we took everybody to Brazilian barbecue. I mean, like I said, we might not do it as crazy the next time, but it will be a good.
I want to defuse a bomb. Come on.
It was cool. Well, it's going to be different this year, but it was a cool conference. We didn't make money on it, but it was fun.
Well, you have products that people,
Yeah, right. It was a marketing.
Not everyone has products, like a back end of products.
Right. And so it was funny though, because people we asked for feedback, and everyone was like, we loved it. We want to come again. We're like, what's one thing we can do better? And they're like, sell us your stuff more. They didn't talk about.
I wonder if you ask them how, what would they say?
I don't know, but they didn't we didn't really talk about our products the whole conference.
Yeah.
We just invited all of the experts and
I think I get a sense, it's not like you're jamming down the throat, but I think if it's providing value for people, they want to know how it can help them. I mean, I was obviously interested, not for you just to plug it, but just to learn, okay, you can, this keyword tool, you could use it for the sponsored ads. You can use it for your listings. You know what I mean? Right. So there's ways that they can optimize their sales.
Yeah. I mean, for me, if we were just trying to make money, I actually would have stopped at Feedback Genius, believe it or not, because
the 80-20 rule.
Yeah, because we could have ran Feedback Genius with 3 people, and it makes a lot of revenue. It really does. Right. But the idea is that I want people to win on Amazon. I legitimately love seeing businesses do well. And so we are an Amazon think tank. we literally like sit around thinking about ways that people can do better on Amazon. And then we come up with an idea and it like has to exist.
Right.
It's like, this needs to exist. And I need to find a way for people to pay for this so it can like fund it, you know, but like it's
self-funding,
like, it needs to exist. I have to charge for it because it costs me hundreds of thousands of dollars in, you know, engineering resources millions of dollars in engineering resources to build.
Yeah.
But
and you want to sustain it. I want
it to be around for the long term. I want to keep making it better.
Paul, this is awesome. So people should check out sellerlabs.com. I could talk to you all day. I know you have something in like 11 minutes. What's one trend or idea you can give away that someone's not executing on?
Oh, that's a good question. Let's see. Okay, so I was talking to Jeff about this morning. Keep mentioning Jeff. We should bring him on the next one. So I'll talk about product research, actually, that I think people are. I think people look at Amazon kind of myopically, like they. So you'll come in and you'll be like, I want to sell a product on Amazon, or I want to improve my product. And so you go to your product and you look at your product and you look at it in a vacuum, and you say, like, I have a water bottle, and you look at like your water bottle, or you look at like one competitor or something like that. Right. And like, if you really want to understand what you need to do on Amazon, you need to look at the entire category, the entire subcategory on Amazon, like aggregate all of that data into one place, and then understand like where that entire category is moving. So for example, let's say that you want to source a product and you decide that this isn't really a trend, it's more of a strategy, but I'm going with it.
Yeah, go with it.
But anyway, you decide that you want to you stumble across some trending thing, a tool, a wrench or something like that, and you say, okay, this wrench sells for $30, and I know I can source this thing for $5 from China, and it only has 50 reviews, and it's selling a lot, and it's really good. Well, that's great, but what you might not have realized is like that wrench had like some special brand name on there or something like that was like commanding that high price. And if you actually looked at like the entire subcategory of Amazon, or if you look at like the keywords that are driving sales for that product,
people are using one piece of data and extrapolating it when it's maybe not meant to be extrapolated.
Right. So you need to look at it like a holistic approach. And so the trend is that people are not using data enough, right? I think that they need to get a complete picture of the problem, whether it's researching your competition or looking at your own business. And I think that it's difficult to do. It's like not an easy thing. And so educate yourself on how to do that, and whatever tools are out there, like whether it's ours or somebody else's, like use that information to make your business better, because you don't want to I've seen a lot of people really shoot themselves in the foot, like from the beginning. Like they go and they find a product and they think, oh man, this one product sells so well, I'm going to sell it. They spend $10,000 ordering inventory in, and they didn't realize that like they don't even have the margin to like dictate it, because they didn't look at the rest of the field on what they're doing. They didn't realize that they were looking at this one data point at $14.99 average sales price, when really the market commands a $9.99 sales price, and they're going to lose money if they try to sell at that price.
Right.
And so, I think, leveraging the new technologies that are coming out that are like really imploring data is going to be important. I think Amazon is going to get more competitive, but I think that if you use the information wisely, there's still lots of money to be made.
Yeah. Paul, thank you so much. Everyone should check out sellerlabs.com. I want to be the first one. Thank you. We'll see you at Prosper Show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. See you then.
What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I feel like $100,000.